What is up, Commanders fans? What's going on? Anthony Armstrong here. I am in McKinney, Texas. You already know it. Brian Murphy down there in the great state of Georgia. Looking good, 32 years old, freshly shaven, haircut, hair slicked to the side.
That's right.
He's doing good. How you doing, man?
Yeah, good. It's a Friday. That's when we're recording this. So I'm always good on a Friday. It means the weekend is right around the corner, and it means we're just one or two less Sundays away from the NFL being back. But we know the draft is coming up, and we've been doing a lot of stuff this week. So it's fun. I'm good. I'm ready to talk some more draft talk.
Yes, indeed. Today, y'all, we're going to go through a couple of mock drafts. We're just going to go through a couple of rounds, not the whole 7. So don't worry about it. You don't have to hang tight for all of that. So we're going to go for about 2 rounds, a little mock draft. Maybe a trade shows up. Maybe we decide to trade back. We'll kind of pause things to assess the situation as it is, as if we were the Commanders, Martin Mayhew, right. Ron Rivera, and the rest of that crew up there making those decisions. So we're going to do that. But first things first. Let's make sure we talk about our sponsor, BetOnline, the good people over there, betonline.ag. We have a code that you can use, but Brian, he has something to tell you about it. Go ahead, Brian. Tell them about BetOnline.
That's right. BetOnline.ag is your number one source for all your basketball info, stats, news, and scores. As you know, the playoffs are in full swing right now. The first round is going on, some good series going on. So get the latest odds and lines, including latest player reports for all the games. It's always your sports information headquarters this season, and they have you covered from basketball, MLB, NHL, hockey with the playoffs going on, right to UFC and boxing. It's the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games. So you can go check that out and play right from your home. So head to the website today on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer, and use our code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. You put in $100, you put in our code, you get $50 back to use as well. I mean, that's as good as it gets.
That ain't bad.
BetOnline, BetOnline, where the game starts.
What's your favorite casino game? If you got an extra $25, $50, and you're in Vegas, you're like, which one are you running to?
I'd be tempted to do a little blackjack, but I love like Texas Hold'em poker. I always love watching that on TV. So I'd probably sit down, try to play a hand or two. Wouldn't put too much money because I don't think I have a good poker face, but I've always enjoyed that and the strategy that goes with it. But what about you?
I like craps. Okay. I learned how to play in Vegas, and then had a pretty good run in New Mexico one time. So I like it. There's a lot going on, but there's also, it's as much as you want to take on. You don't have to worry about everything. You could just play the pass line and keep it nice and simple. But if you want to start betting odds and different numbers and outcomes of the dice, then that's when you get to go play around in the middle of the table.
Yeah, I'm not even familiar with how to play that. I've always heard it, so I'd have to check that one out and probably learn how to play before throwing some money down.
Yeah, absolutely. You do that. Take a little time, go fiddle around. I'm sure there's an app out there somewhere, but thanks to those folks over there at BetOnline. Once again, use our code BLEAV to get that 50% welcome bonus. I don't want to go check and see if they got craps over there, but craps is fun. You should check that thing out. But let's do this thing. We're going to add this to the screen. We're going to get into the mock draft. We're just under a week away from round 1 of the NFL draft coming into play. And today we're going to play a little mock draft action over here. So you guys are, if you're watching on the video, you get to see the wonderful PFF screen. Just so you know, if you're listening, we got 2 rounds. We're only going to select as the Commanders. We're not going to do any doctoring of the draft, and they're saying if this scenario happens, and we could, but then that would be just too long of an episode. I would highly advise do that on your own. In this scenario, we're gonna let this thing ride.
I think I said in the last episode that the draft turns into or it could turn into a multiverse. If one team does this, that means another team does that. And then pretty soon you have all these strings going off in different directions of all the different scenarios that could play out. So we're going to keep it simple, stick with the Commanders, potentially take a trade if it's there, but just kind of focus on what the Commanders might do and how it might play out. Because you noticed that, the odds of Will Levis kind of moving up. You did a quick one and realized that Will Levis was moving up boards as well. So this seems pretty accurate and seems pretty on point, or at least with the latest rumors kind of in check here 6 days out from the actual draft.
Yes, indeed. So we're at the first page of the draft right now. Just got to ask while we're here, co-GM
Mm-hmm.
Brian Murphy, do you want to try to make a trade to go up to number one? Just yes or no, or should we just let the draft begin?
Too rich for my blood. I say we let it roll. The Panthers had already moved up themselves, so I very highly doubt they're going to give that up on their own.
All
So
right.
yeah, let's just run it.
I'm just hitting start. They Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Jalen Carter goes 3. Will Levis,
Ooh,
Will Anderson, Devin Witherspoon, Anthony Richardson, Skoronski, Quentin Johnson, and the Eagles are sitting at 10. I've paused the draft. Just a quick rundown team. Bryce Young goes number 1, even though that's been what's tied and rumored out there in NFL draft world. Bryce Young going number 1. C.J. Stroud makes his way down to Houston, and there's been rumors about him dropping further in the draft. I feel like that's people trying to just take people off the scent would be my guess.
yeah,
Jalen Carter goes 3.
that was
Will
surprising to me.
Levis. Yeah, they went interior defensive line rather than getting somebody on the edge. Will Levis is up there with the Colts. That's been something that we've seen before. Will Anderson finds his way out there to Seattle. Devin Witherspoon is up to Detroit. Anthony Richardson to the Raiders. And Peter Skoronski is a Falcon. Quentin Johnson is a Bear. Now, I personally, I feel like that's kind of I feel like some of those picks threw off some other teams.
Yeah,
We've had Skoronski to the Bears for the longest, and now you see some things shift around, and Skoronski goes to Atlanta. What do you want to do
yeah.
at 10?
Yeah. I mean, I think we keep it rolling. I find it very hard to believe that the Commanders would want to, and their rivals would want to make a trade. With teams in the division. You got to think that the Eagles have a lot of. We said that they could be a wild card and go any which way, so you got to think that they're probably licking their chops to get a top 10 pick and probably even a top 5 talent if you're given the quarterbacks falling off there. So it'd be interesting to see what they do and kind of how it shakes out for the Commanders, because Skoronski, Weatherspoon, those are both names that we mentioned to the Commanders, and there's still 7 picks before they have to go.
Yep. So let's go ahead and run it forward. The Jackson Smith, Najiba, Kalia Cansey, Tyree Wilson to Houston, Luke and Van Ness. Paris Johnson's gone. Brian Branch is gone. And here we are in a scenario. And if you're a Commanders fan, you got to let us know if this is something that you'd be happy with. We're sitting at 16. Christian Gonzalez is sitting right there.
Mm-hmm.
Dalton Kincaid, Deontay Banks, Joey Porter Jr. So you have really, since Deontay Banks has been making a recent push up, a lot of draft boards and over here at PFF as well, you have your pick of the litter. 3 top-notch cornerbacks right there, and Dalton Kincaid. I know which way I would go in this scenario. What about you?
Hey, why don't we do this on the count of 3? We say what player we take. See if we're on the same page. How about that?
Ready? You got it. You
All
count
right.
it down.
All right. I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, and on go. We say it. All right.
Perfect.
3,
I'm on it.
2, 1. Gonzalez.
Gonzalez is mine. I was waiting for the go, but Christian Gonzalez is mine. Let's select him.
Yeah.
Let's select him. Christian Gonzalez is our selection. And I think if that pops up, there's no need to back off. There's no need to try to make any other trade. So I've paused the draft now. We're at pick 24. The Jaguars are on the clock. A few names that have went since we've made our selection. Dalton Kincaid is filling in for where T.J. Hawkinson was traded from in Detroit. You see Deontay Banks comes off the board. Brian Breese's coming off the board to Seattle. They're getting their defensive line fixed up. Joey Porter Jr. is out there to the Chargers. Nolan Smith is with the Ravens. And you just feel like anytime they select somebody on defense, that guy is going to be a player.
Yeah.
You just got to assume it. Miles Murphy, edge out of Clemson, up there too. The Vikings. So is there any reason that you would want to consider trading up right here, or do you want to just let this thing play out?
I kind of want to let it play out. I think if I'm trading, and maybe this is me wanting to collect picks, maybe try to recoup a pick from the Carson Wentz trade, I think I'm trading down. I think you're going to have a lot of talented players fall down to what's our next pick, 47.
47, yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm okay staying put. One thing I wanted to point out real quick, I saw Sam Fortier from the Washington Post. He put together a list of all of the players that had an official top 30 visit with the Washington Commanders. I thought it was interesting that of the big three corners with Joey Porter, Devin Witherspoon, and Christian Gonzalez did not visit with them. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I know that sometimes they've kind of, I think, trying to throw people off, but it will be interesting to see if that comes into play. If, Porter, or I think they did visit with Banks, if those guys are there, if that matters that they visited or not. I think Gonzalez is the slam dunk pick in that scenario, but I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to confirm. That's what I was looking up there.
Yeah, that's a good bit of information right there when you think about it. Because really, let's look at it like this: location wise, you better have a meeting with Deontay Banks. He's in Maryland.
Sure.
He's right down the road. Like, they're like, hey, we'll pick you up. We'll go to the stadium. Like, that's the easy
Yeah.
trip. Joey Porter Jr. Once again, Penn State. That's a short trip. Get those guys in there, and don't get us wrong. Don't get me wrong. I know that those coaches and the scouts have done their due diligence on Christian Gonzalez.
Absolutely.
Just because they don't come in for a visit doesn't mean that they wouldn't jump on him and make that selection if he was there at 16. So let me continue on. We're going to roll on forward, so you can jump in as you need. Starting to see some tackles coming off the board. Here's an interesting selection while we're talking on it. Michael Mayer, tight end, selected 26 to the Cowboys.
I think that's one we talked about.
We
for
talked
our rival
about
podcast.
it. We did talk about that. That came up, but I'm surprised that it wasn't. You think it may be a Bijan Robinson in that scenario, but
is he still he's still available?
He is still available from everything that I've seen and read, and he has not come off the board yet. So you're looking at Bijan Robinson available. He made it past 26. He made it past 27. Zay Flowers ends up going to Boston College. Emmanuel Forbes finds his way over there to Cincinnati. Let's get to this first round right quick. The Saints are up. They pick a receiver, edge. BJ Ojolari and Will McDonald round out the first round. So in this draft, Bijan Robinson is not a first round pick. I'm going to just go ahead and roll forward, and then we'll pause it and recap whenever we get to our selection at 47. I did see Bijan Robinson went off the board. Osiris Torrance is off the board. Seeing a lot of edges and first quarterback. So, not first quarterback. Tanner McKee's off the board. Steve Avila is off the board. So that was one of the guys I had my eye on. We're sitting at 47 now. We have one trade offer. The players that we're looking at, folks, you have Jack Campbell, linebacker out of Iowa. That's a position of need. Tariq Stevenson, cornerback out of Miami. He's there. We're looking at a Luke Musgrave, tight end out of Oregon State. Jahmyr Gibbs, another talented player out of Alabama, running back there. O-lineman, you got Joe Tippmann, center out of Wisconsin. There's a few other guys there as you scroll down a little bit. Cody Mouch is there.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah, he's there as well. But now, mind you, you're starting to get, about kind of get a little deep on the people that are available. So there's one trade.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jacksonville's offering a trade. Now, the one thing about this is that they don't like give you a big trade offer. They just say that they want to trade, and then you kind of get to choose the compensation, if you will. So would you want to drop back to 56? And I mean, you may be able to pick up a third rounder, may be able to pick up, something a little bit later on in the draft, but what do you think?
I'll tell you that linebacker Jack Campbell is a name that I've seen a whole lot, and I don't think you could do much better right there than getting that guy. If they're willing to get you a third round pick that's up a little bit more, you certainly would have to look at that, because what do you say, dropping back to 56? That's maybe 10 picks. I mean, you certainly could still get somebody and then add another guy. So you got to think Martin Mayhew, who has a tendency to trade back. We saw him do it last year to get Jahan Dotson and then get Brian Robinson and Sam Howell. Yeah. You got to think that he might do that. But for me, I'm being selfish. I think I like that Jack Campbell pick, but you can't go wrong with any of the offensive linemen, really. That's a a position of need, or several positions of need.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking at it, just scrolling through some of the names. I mean, if you chop that top 10 off, you're still looking at, Keanu Benton's out there. Drew Sanders could be there at 56. Cody Mouch could be there at 56.
Yeah.
But let's just say we're going to take Jack Campbell. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Come on, Jack. Welcome to the Commanders. We're going to let this thing finish out through the rest of this round. Cody Mouch goes at 49. Tyreek Stevenson's gone. Jameer Gibbs is gone. Man. See, if only the draft was this fast.
I know, right?
Cowboys take
Meanwhile,
their
we'd be
running
waiting
back.
for hours.
Yes, could be waiting for hours. Okay, cool. 2 rounds in, we completed this first mock draft.
What do we get grade-wise? Is it going to tell us, or is that like a premium?
Yeah, well, I hope it's not premium. If it is, I ain't paying for it. It is thinking about it. Oh. Now they want to sell us something. How do I get that off of there? There we go. You're hearing a live 40-year-old having some technical. My goodness, they're giving the anticipation is killing me.
Yeah. Well,
maybe
I think
we did a great job.
You addressed 2 positions of need. You bolstered an already solid defense. You got to imagine that the rest of the picks in that scenario will be used on offensive players, you would think, when you go 2 defensive players to start off. I mean, not necessarily, but I like it. I think that's solid. A corner and a linebacker in the first couple of rounds. I think obviously you never know how the draft is actually going to go. There could be one of those linemen. So Torrance looked like he was dropping a little bit. You never know what could happen there. And you never know what you might see.
I literally just hit refresh, and then it obviously pops up when I hit refresh. So
I'm going to say it was an A+.
I'm going to say it's an A+ too. This is one thing about this one. I was a little, I was feeling good about myself. I was like, look at all my A+ picks. But then I realized, like, you can get an A+ pick pretty easily.
Yeah.
And I think it's based on, we missed that when maybe it's still saved. Hold on, I click on this mock draft button. Live,
we're clicking around.
folks.
Yeah, we're doing this.
This is live
this is a real
stuff.
Deal.
But here, if y'all are listening, let us know on Twitter, Instagram, somewhere. What do you feel if Bijan Robinson was there? I guess I lost my results. Oh well, we'll have to do it again. We will do one more round, one more mock draft. If not Bijan Robinson, if the Commanders came away with Christian Gonzalez, how excited would you be? Respond with an emoji. Like that would be good.
Yeah, exactly. Tell us what you think, because I would be excited. I think that he is by some considered a top 10 pick. And so the fact that you would get him at 16, that would be a slam dunk to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I took that away for a second to reset. I'm sure that the using everything, using all the CPU to get the mock draft up and running probably took a little bit of juice.
Let me ask you this. So we talked a little bit about trades. If the Commanders are offered a trade to move back, which I think you and I are proponents for, how far back is too far? Like, is 30 too far? Is 22 too far? Like, how far back are you willing to move to try to still get a first round talent with that first pick?
I think that you have to stay in mid 20s, at least in the first round. Don't go out.
Right.
If you're going out of the first round, you should be picking basically in that first bit of the low part of the 30s, like 33 to, and I know that the Dolphins forfeited a pick, so early 30s would be the latest, but I would much rather stay in the first round. I think that you have plenty of options of talent across the line, across the positions, really, offensive line, linebacker. You're going to have options there. So, if you feel the need to move back and you think you can stockpile a few good players, I'd be all on board with that. But ideally, let's stay in the first round. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I would probably not want to drop too far past 25. I feel like then you're kind of getting not slim pickings, but some of the guys that you want would certainly be gone at that point. One of those corners, whether you decide you're okay with Banks and Forbes as opposed to Witherspoon, Porter, and Gonzalez. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a good chance those guys are gone by the late first round. So I want to stay, like you said, originally in the first round for sure. and mid-20s I think would be the sweet spot.
All
Let me
right.
ask you, so that was a good little exercise, our mock draft there. So be sure to check that out. We can maybe post a screenshot, or we'll just post what we did there.
Right.
What was
You want
more
to do
surprising?
another one?
Yeah, let's do another one. But first, I wanted to ask, what would surprise you more, Jalen Carter going number 3 overall, or Bijan Robinson slipping out of the first round like we saw there?
That is a hell of a question, because obviously Robinson has first round talent written all over him. Hell, he's got top 10 talent written all over him. But then Carter
They
has
both do,
top
you
10
could argue.
talent.
Yeah,
Yes, he
right.
has top 10 talent written all over him. I think the way things have played, uh, I feel like Bijan getting out of the first round would be a bigger surprise. I think Jalen Carter is a disruptive player that a lot of teams see as an asset. Obviously you got to get the off the field situations handled, but outside of that, you got to think he's going to bring just so much, destruction and demolition to your own defensive line and help put pressure on your opposing quarterback. So I think he's going to find his way in, obviously early in that draft. 3 doesn't seem too early, obviously with the off the field stuff. It kind of scares you, but Bijan falling out of the first round, probably the biggest surprise.
Yeah, honestly, I was going to say Jalen Carter being 3rd. I think that there is just enough uncertainty or, question marks, whether they're valid or not. I'm kind of curious to see if he does drop a little bit. And then I was kind of thinking like Bijan Robinson's not going in the first. Is that kind of showing how NFL teams might value the running back? Like we're talking about how ridiculous he is, but how long is the shelf life on a running back? You know what I mean? Like how likely is a guy to get to his second contract? Is he worth waiting on for that second round? I was surprised. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think I would feel too crazy shocked if Bijan Robinson slipped. Maybe not out of the first round, but into the 20s. I don't think I'd be too surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the place where people are going to make plays for him. If he makes it out of the first round, whoever's sitting there with 33, it probably is Houston again or whatnot. Whoever's sitting there, their phone is going to be lit up. They're going to be like, hey, what do you want to do? So anywho, that's a good discussion. Good talk right there. Let's go through one more draft. Obviously, the last one that we did, we had the good old Christian Gonzalez made his way over there to the Commanders. I think that was a hell of a pick.
Too. And wore number 0 in college. That's now allowed in the NFL. Could be the very first 0 in Washington. Well, I don't know if that's true back in the day, but at least Washington Commanders history.
Yeah, right. And I feel like, certain rules happen whenever you have, players come out that are supposed to be pretty highly touted and drafted. So I'm all about it. All right. So this one here, let's go ahead and make this thing run. We're going to start this draft. Obviously, the Panthers are first. Bryce Young goes CJ Stroud. Devin Witherspoon.
Ooh, wow. That's
okay. Jalen Carter is a Raider. Don't really agree with that.
I don't think I've seen Will Levis. Oh, there he goes at 14 to the Patriots. Interesting. I would that would be a juicy draft day story that Mac Jones already has some competition.
Yeah. Now, he's been put around in trade talks. They've shopped him. Now,
maybe he's a draft day deal.
Right now, I'll ask you this, Commander GM Brian Murphy.
Yes.
Do you entertain that phone call from Bill Belichick to take Mac Jones?
I entertain it 100%. I don't think I take it though, because you're going to have to give up. I don't think they're going to ask for a first round pick, even though he was a first round pick, but a second or third, I don't think so. I can't do that. I'd rather roll with Jacoby Brissett and or Sam Howell. That's just me.
I think it falls in that same breadth of any other quarterback whose name has kind of come out there. If you didn't make a move for Lamar Jackson, don't go over here trying to get somebody else and make it seem like everything's going to be okay. I don't think people are going to be too happy. So here we go. We're sitting at 16. We have 7 trade offers, all right? We're looking at the players available. Deontay Banks, Brian Branch, Joey Porter Jr., Paris Johnson Jr., Darnell Wright, tackle out of Tennessee. I'm only going to say some names that are people that we probably would think would end up there. Anton Harrison, tackle out of Oklahoma, Broderick Jones is a tackle. Bijan Robinson is there. So you've got a lot of options. We're
What
sitting
are
at
those?
16.
What do those trades look like? Because there are several guys there that I would be fine with taking, and if I'm
Mhm.
able to move back a little bit,
Yeah.
can we still get one of these guys?
Yeah. So here we go. You got Tampa Bay. They're at 19. So you would assume you just drop back 3 spots. Your next one would be Buffalo at 27, Houston at 33. This starts getting into the second round. We spoke
I
about this. Don't
yeah.
necessarily want to get out of the first, but
Let's look
33,
at
you're still going to get something.
let's look at the Tampa Bay. If we can maybe get a higher second round pick or something.
Let's see. Well, their second round pick is at 50. So let's just see if we can pick up. We'll see if we swap firsts. Uh, I won't be able to get you. What are your chances of making this trade happen? I won't be able to get their second unless let's say we give up a third and a fourth. That's a 75% chance of happening. We can go all the way in here. So,
I mean, I feel like you could maybe ask for their third. Could you ask for their third? Would they do that?
yeah, they'll give us a 3. There's a pretty
I
good
mean, that
chance
would
of
be
that being
nice
accepted.
because what is that? Pick 82 for them, 97 for you. You could potentially package those to move up a little bit again in the second or third round. I would definitely do something like this. If
It's not letting me
we
do
could.
it because I gotta pay for it.
Oh man, but
Damn.
I think let's just say that scenario happens. There are a lot of good players there, and I would
There
be
are.
fine with moving back because I'd be fine with Deontay Banks, Branch, Porter,
Yeah.
Johnson. Um, is it Harrison, the tackle from Oklahoma, Darnell Wright? I mean,
Yeah.
there are a bunch of names there to where you could totally afford to move back a few picks.
Yes, indeed. Well, then,
So
with
let's
that
see.
said, so we have to stay put because we haven't paid for the premium version. What are we going to do here? Do you want to go safety? I think safety Brian Branch would be kind of a wild card.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody would expect that. Joey Porter Jr., you want to go corner? You want to go tackle in this situation? What are you thinking?
in my head, I mixed it up a little bit. So we did corner the first time. I really like Paris Johnson Jr. I would be leaning that way, but you can't go wrong again with one of those corners. So I'll leave it up to you. You've given me a lot of leeway. I want you to take my thoughts into consideration. I'll let you make the pick.
Well, okay. So Paris Johnson Jr. definitely a safe pick. In any of those corners, I think is definitely a safe pick. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll the dice. Told you I like craps. I'm going
I
to roll
like
the
it.
dice. I'm going to say they go with Brian Branch. Here's the
Okay.
reason why. Alabama is the reason why. You
Yeah.
got your 2 defensive tackles are from Alabama. Your other superstar safety who's going to get paid here after a while is from what school? Alabama. Cam Curl, right? So let's say we're going to take Brian Branch, add to that defense, get yourself a piece that is interchangeable, that can move around a lot.
Well, and also interesting, if you for some reason talk sour, you can't come to a deal with Cam Curl, you potentially have his replacement, and that's not a bad way to look at things too.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is true. That is true. I think this same draft, Bijan Robinson made his way all the way to 31.
To the Chiefs,
So he
that
made it
would
to
be
the
the Chiefs
Chiefs.
just get richer. Patrick Mahomes just gets another weapon.
I mean, shoot, they did that the other time. They were picking way down there. They got Clyde
All
Edwards-Helaire.
right.
And let's see, we're back up again, ladies and gentlemen. We're back up again. We let it roll. We have 2 trade offers here at 47. We won't even entertain them right now. So let's just say we're looking at tight end out of Iowa, Luke Weipler, center out of Ohio State, another tight end, Luke Musgrave's there, Jahmyr Gibbs is there, a couple corners, Joe Tippmann, Cody Mouch is there again, Keanu Benton, Drew Sanders. What do you think?
Mouch and Matthew Bergeron from Syracuse are 2 names that have been talked about a lot. So they're both tackles. So certainly couldn't go wrong there. I don't hate a tight end pick there. Another Alabama guy, Jahmyr Gibbs. That would be wild if they took him to pair with Brian Robinson and potentially Antonio Gibson. There are a lot of interesting picks. I don't know that any of them are slam dunks, but I think there are some upside picks here with some of these names. I think kind of knowing Ron Rivera, I feel like they would go safe with a lineman here or a tight end. But man, would it be interesting if they went and got a running back right there?
Yeah, it would. I think it'd take people's breath away. They'd be like, "What? Why?
Yeah,
Why do we do
yeah.
this?" Let's see. I mean, center is definitely not a. It's not a sexy position. I don't think second round tight end. I wouldn't necessarily want to go there. So let's say let's just try Bergeron. Let's go with Bergeron, tackle out of Syracuse. Let's let this draft finish
And
through. Go ahead.
And let's say there are a couple guys there you like. Let's say, for example, our scenario worked out where we were able to move down a few picks in that first round, get a pick or two in the third, and use that to move back up for a couple of guys here. That would be an interesting scenario, and one that I think you certainly got to at least entertain.
Yeah, you do. You really do. I mean, there's so many moving pieces in here, which makes it interesting. And then when you consider the fact that there are still trades that are probably going to happen and make some
With
impact
players,
here
yeah.
with the players. Those are the ones that I'm referring to. I mean, you got all these teams and players that have proclaimed that they want to be traded now. And it used to be a thing where you just waited until the season and maybe in the off season and definitely before week 8. But your people are trying to get better in the draft. During the draft, I should say. They're trying to get better during the draft by trading away picks to get a more established player, and I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is the salary cap related. Like, for whatever reason, the Titans knew they didn't want to pay A.J. Brown or didn't think it was in the cards. And so what did they do? They moved him along and hopefully got a guy in Traylon Burks that can replace him. And I think that's what teams are kind of doing. They're kind of rolling the dice on a young guy coming in at a cheaper value, being able to replace a guy. I don't know if it always works, but it does make for an interesting draft night where usually it was just pick, maybe move back or up a little bit, but now it's involving players. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting weekend.
Yeah, it really is, and they've locked it up. They've made it where it's a premium thing, baby.
Well, it's another A+. That's all it is.
Yeah, it is. I'll take that as A+. But all in all, man, I'm not mad at this draft. I think that the last one that we did with Christian Gonzalez falling to 16, that one seemed to be – I would like that one better.
Me too.
Even though we had more options at 16 with, Johnson and Brian Branch, who we selected, and, you had your pick, a couple corners, a couple of linemen, safety to kind of just going to change how you react on defense because maybe that brings Cam Curl or one of those guys into the box a little bit more. And that addresses your linebacker position without having to necessarily go and get a linebacker. So very interesting how things played out over here, but I'm all with it. I can tell you this much. If that was exciting, then I'm willing to bet that the draft itself is going to be exciting here in about a week. And you can check out all of those draft odds and futures and any particular bets over there at Bet Online. That's our sponsor, y'all. Use our code BLEAV over there at betonline.ag. Get a 50% welcome bonus. Thanks to those guys for being a sponsor, sticking with us. We appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, you can go and check it out. You can pick based on conference, how many players you think you're going to go. But yeah, BetOnline brings us the show every single time. So be sure to check them out and use our code BLEAV as AAA mentioned. And then follow along. We are on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're trying to get a TikTok presence going. You can see all that good stuff there. So that's fun, and you can follow along, try to tweet out the shows and all that good stuff. And like Anthony said earlier on, give us your reactions. Let us know how poorly or well we did on these mock drafts.
I know we did a good job, but I can tell you, I can guarantee you this much: ain't no dancing over there on the TikTok. Okay, ain't no dancing. No. Don't come over there for the hottest new dance. We don't know them. We don't know them. All right, but do check us out for any and all Commanders news and information. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. We're gonna get up out of here. Y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good day, and y'all 6 days away till you get a couple new Commanders players to cheer for. All right, so get excited, get tuned in, hit us up on Twitter and Instagram. And for Brian Murphy, I'm Anthony Armstrong. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks for watching Believe in Commanders.
See you guys. All right, do you want to real quick do a